Greetings, online investors, and welcome to another Investor Roadshow presentation from the Online Investment Conference. I'm Peter Norman, founder of the OIC, where our goal is providing you with investment ideas worth watching. We've got another great idea to present to you today. Canadian technology metals firm Scandium Canada prioritizes advancing its strategic metal and gold properties in Quebec. Listed as SCD on the Toronto Venture Exchange, it aims to become the world's first primary scandium producer. Guy Bourassa is CEO of Scandium Canada and joins us here today to present the story. Welcome, Guy.
Well, thank you, Peter. It is my pleasure today to present you Scandium Canada. Scandium is the metal of the future, and at Scandium Canada, we believe the future is now. I will be making forward-looking statement. What is Scandium Canada, and at what level are we? We're currently developing one of the largest primary scandium projects in the world. Our vision? To contribute to society's goal to reduce carbon emission to net zero. The project is at the level of a preliminary economic assessment, which was delivered in 2022. An updated resource estimate 43101 was released in June of 2023, and we're currently doing all the work required to complete a pre-feasibility. What is scandium? It's a silvery white metal with very interesting properties. It has a density similar to aluminum. The interest of it is that when you mix it in very small quantities with aluminum, you are able to create alloys that produce lightweight, high strength, and corrosion-resistant material. Imagine the weight of aluminum if you compare with steel, the strength of steel, and as hard as titanium, but with the weight of aluminum. This is very, very interesting for the future. Also, it's a good conductor for electricity and heat. Therefore, the main applications you can imagine are the manufacturing of high-performance components for aerospace, aircraft, missiles, satellites, down to Earth, all of the EVs application. Reducing the weight of any components obviously will lead to reduction of GHG, because currently the world is supplied by about 35 to 40 tons expressed in scandium oxide, always as a byproduct of another mineral being mined, and therefore restricting the capacity of the market to increase to meet additional demand. Therefore, we do believe with the market data that we can increase by about 50 times that market, going from 40 tons to about 2,000 tons a year. We're going to come to that point a little later in the presentation in detail. What is the opportunity for the investor? Well, one of them is the fact that the scandium is on the critical material list by multiple governments of the Western world. It's essential for weight reduction in aerospace, defense, and EV sectors. It all comes from two countries, mainly China, 75%, and Russia, with a long-term safe supply from a primary source that can adapt to the market as it grows. The market could easily grow by 50 times. Currently, Crater Lake, our scandium and rare earth project, is the world's largest primary source currently being developed. We have a very large, high-grade surface resource, and the PEA of 2022 showed a 1.7 billion Canadian dollars after-tax net present value. We are located in the province of Quebec, which is still recognized as a very mining-friendly jurisdiction, and we have developed good relationship with local communities. As a matter of fact, we announced a little earlier this month the signature of a first pre-development agreement with the Naskapi Nation of Kawawachi-Kamak near Shefferville. Now, let's talk about our vision on the market and the potential markets that need secure supply to develop. EY was asked as an independent source in 2022 to evaluate what could be the market if and when, but more important, when long-term safe supply is made available to the market. What they did, they analyzed the airplane sector using Airbus and Boeing data to see how much parts are aluminum-based, how much part in the weight can be replaced by aluminum scandium. They did the same thing with the main car manufacturers. And they came with the numbers that you see here on that slide. In yellow, you see that's the car sector. How much tons expressed always in scandium oxide could be taking the car industry? In green at the bottom, you see it's smaller, but still, this is a 300-400 tons a year, the aerospace industry. Therefore, there's definitively an interesting market to be developed. The way they did it, let's say for a car, a medium-sized electric vehicle car, you have about 180 tons average of parts that could be replaced by aluminum scandium. That per car only needs about 500 grams of scandium, but obviously large numbers when you talk about the car industry. Therefore, that market is there, it's latent, and it's only waiting for a long, safe supply to come to the market. The different type of parts that can be used, of course, body and chassis, battery casing. Very interesting, the battery casing part, it does not impact the batteries, but it helps dissipate the heat. One of the big issue with managing the heat in an electric vehicle, well, if you start putting parts that can dissipate, obviously you're gaining. Therefore, obviously heat exchangers, motor housing, battery cooling system, even the magnet wiring. One of the interesting thing about scandium aluminum is its conductivity, more conductive than copper. Currently in Canada, CanMet is developing a small wire that can replace in the motors all of the wiring by using that, obviously reducing significantly the weight of a motor. You see all the different avenues that can start bargaining around if and when the market is supplied adequately with a long-term safe supply. In this slide, we show the interest of adding very, very small amount of scandium in different type of alloys. You see here the 1000 series, that's strictly aluminum, 99% aluminum. You see the difference in the strength. The aluminum multiplied by 8, still the same weight, but 8 times more strength, only by adding 0.4% of scandium. Currently, we're working with different labs in Canada and university on the 5000 series and the 6000 series because they are the one being used in the aerospace and the car industry. You see the difference. It's very interesting. The properties are gaining from the addition of a very, very small portion of scandium. As an example, you're talking about the footprint of the aerospace. Air travel accounts for about 3% currently of worldwide GHG, and it's planned to triple by 2015. Therefore, we need to find ways of reducing the weight of these airplanes. If you go and you Google Airbus with patent concerning aluminum alloys with scandium, you will find about 10, a little bit more than 10 patents pending or already granted. And also advanced manufacturing powders for the 3D printing to reduce the weight of the airplane. Interesting is the welding of aircraft using aluminum scandium alloys. These are all very exciting patents, very exciting, easy to achieve new way of making these airplanes, but still lacking a long-term safe supply. Different applications and the potential, you see here the price sensitivity or insensitivity, the early adopters and the late adopters. I like to show this chart because you see the heat exchangers, you see the auto parts, plane parts. Interesting is the 3D printing here. 3D printing, that's roughly a little less than 50 tons per year. 50 tons per year of powder with scandium. That's very, very interesting. Currently, it's not being done commercially successfully. We have been involved with the McMaster University for now over 2 years with a PhD student to develop the actual powder, including scandium, that can successfully 3D print parts without micro cracks being formed. That's the issue currently the market has about 3D printing with scandium aluminum. They have been, the student at the McMaster University, has been able to achieve that successfully. The IP concerning all of this lies 100% in Scandium Canada, because obviously we're supporting all of the work. In a short while, we'll be able to talk more about that detail and the IP protection that is being sought. Now, let's talk a little bit about the project. Like I said, we're in Quebec. We're located about 200 kilometers east-northeast of Schefferville and about 400 kilometers south of Coudrouac in the northeastern, on the Quebec side of the border with Newfoundland and Labrador here. And like I said, most exciting scandium hard rock project in the world. It's not me that is saying that. It's Dr. Anthony Williams-Jones of McGill University, because we're also working with McGill University on the geology of the deposit. A student is currently completing its master on specifically the Crater Lake project and the geology around it. When the professor overlooking that the student looked at the project, the geology, the results, initially said, wow, this is the most exciting scandium hard rock project in the world. And we completely agree with him. We are currently involved on the territory with with 7 First Nations. The first one we signed an impact benefit agreement are the Naskapi Nation of Kawawat-Chikamak, and they are the main proponent here with whom we're dealing. But we are involved with 6 other First Nations that are going to be impacted some way or another by the project. On that slide, it's interesting. You also see in red, you've got the actual network of road that is from Goose Bay down to Bécomo on the Quebec side. And in green, you see the road, permanent road that will have to be built to give access, full year-round access to the deposit. The interest also of this project and the company itself as an investment, it's the size of the property. 47 square kilometer of mining rights that we own 100%. You see here that circle about 14 kilometers long. All the red dots here have confirmed its high magnetic signature, have confirmed that they are scandium-bearing zones, either by grab samples or by drilling. You see these dots here. These are all drill zones. Currently, what we're talking about on the net present value of the PEA is the TG zone, that the northern lobe. That's where here in about 300 meters long that we have the initial 25-year mine life. So you see the very huge potential of the company to become one of the largest, if not the largest, scandium deposit in the world. Rapidly going over the resource estimate of 2023, 12 million tons of indicated resources, and inferred of 16 million tons, roughly. Currently, the pre-feasibility study is being done, only taking the 12 million tons of indicated resources. It's an open pit, very accessible, very good deep, as we're going to see on the following slide, easy to mine, easy to develop. So we're talking the initial 25-year mine life at a depth of about 175 meters, roughly about 4 meters average topsoil, and directly into the ore body. I stressed a little earlier about the fact that we're only working on a 300 meters long project here. That's contained in a over 1 kilometer magnetic signature. The northern lobe has been identified here. We call it the northern lobe, the south lobe, sorry, because we have the same results, the same width, but at the time there was no drilling done in between. So you've got an extension potential of about 250 meters to join the two things here together. But we're focusing to develop the metallurgy and do the pre-feasibility and feasibility stage using strictly the resources that have been identified on the initial 300 meters of that zone. As you see, dip is very straightforward, close to 90 degrees, very wide. It's an average 100 meters wide. So very easy to develop, very easy to mine. Therefore, we don't foresee any issues there. Rapidly, and you can go on our website and have all of the details in the PEA that is available there, with all of the details of the PEA that brought $1.7 billion market cap, net present value. And again, what we have also identified here is by drilling the same width. This is about 3 kilometers to the south. That's another completely different zone that could be, and it's outcropping. There was a 50-ton bulk sample that was taken on surface here to do metallurgical tests, but it's exactly the same signature and the same mineralization that we have identified on the south lobe and that we have on the north lobe here. So that's why we're talking about very, very long time safe supply. Everything is open at depth and therefore can be worked. We have currently a small management team, 3 main people involved, myself as CEO, Pierre Nedby as president and COO, as well as Dr. Luc Duchesne as our chief science officer. We all have over 30 years in the mining sector and or in the strategic marketing and project management. We have been involved, Pierre and I, in the lithium space. We've been involved in other industrial minerals. I have brought the Nemaska Lithium Wabushi project to construction level and financed over $1.5 billion Canadian over 10 years to bring that construction decision and start of construction, signing over 6 offtake agreements with very large institutions around the world. So, and also obviously negotiating the impact benefit agreement with the Cree Nation and the Cree Nations government. Therefore, we have the capacity, knowledge, and obviously the will to advance that project to the next level. Very small board of directors for the moment. Jeff Swinoga as our chairman. Alain Bureau as an independent director along with Bruce DeLong. We're very satisfied with the way we are currently company. We have been able to attract strategic advisors. We created a strategic advisory committee with top of the line persons that are interesting to help us make sure that we don't fall in pitfalls and as we advance the marketing side of the project, advancement of the discussions on the supply agreements and LOIs that we're going to be looking for. Let's just start with Mark Kozraz, who has over 30 years automotive material research, development, product design, and production. Very, very knowledgeable, renowned around the world as far as properties for alloys and material. Definitively helps us in identifying the main streams that we should be attacking with large institutions. Very reliable, obviously, as far as knowledge is concerned, helping us a lot save time and energy and focusing on where we should be. Noel Dubé, a very experienced and knowledgeable success as a leader in the technology sector, as a private investor with a lot of funds, private funds that help the technology sector in the province of Quebec for over 20 years. And finally, Marc-Antoine Audette, president of Sama Resources and SRQ Resources, who is a very knowledgeable geologist about scandium. He has been involved in scandium projects as a byproduct around the world when he was finding and developing nickel laterite projects around the world. So we're very fortunate to have the backing of these people to help us think outside the box and make sure that we don't lose time and energy where we should not. Currently, development milestones. We are currently completing a 500 kilo mini metallurgical pilot at SDS. Will be completed by the end of August of this year. Obviously, this is required for the pre-feasibility study. The same thing with geotechnical and infill drilling that needs to be done during the summer of 2024. That will lead to an updated resource estimate, most probably. That will also be the basis for the pre-feasibility study that we're working. We have already started the work on environmental assessment, data collection. That's going to be part also of the summer program to continue collecting data on fish, on flora, on habitat. That's required at the end of the day for the full feasibility study to get all of the permitting. We will have to do a full feasibility study with a full-scale metallurgical pilot of about 15 tons. A good portion of that material is going to come from the infill drilling we're going to be doing this summer of 2024. Our vision is that by 2027, early 2027, we will be at the construction financing stage with a construction decision to be taken late 2026. That's our aim. To do that, obviously, we also, and it's not shown on the chart, but we are in parallel advancing discussions, identification of potential partners, end users, large end users, to sign offtakes and LOIs to be able to support at the basis of the full feasibility study. So we're very active. We are on all different fronts, advancing in parallel to make sure that we meet the target of full feasibility by the end of 2026. Currently, the capital structure, we have about 216 million shares outstanding, fully diluted at 252 million shares. Obviously, we're going to be financing for the work to be done this summer and to maintain the rate of development that we have, bring us to the next level, initially the pre-feasibility study sometime in 2025. Therefore, we will see a modification of the capital structure in the months to come. Currently about 12 million Canadian market cap. So we need absolutely to increase that market cap, be able to attract large institutions, well, small and large institutions that have thresholds that we do not meet at the current stage. And that's one of the tasks that I have to do is educate people, educate investors, institutional investors on the future of Scandium. And obviously, by the same token, Scandium Canada. My pleasure to answer your questions as you decide there, Peter.
Guy, outstanding presentation. You really know your stuff, and you particularly know the potential of scandium and its potential importance for today's and tomorrow's industrial economy. Now let's delve into a few questions. Is scandium a rare metal in the terms that we typically think of rare metals, or is it just a common metal that we don't see too much of?
It's not a rare earth element, as people would refer to. It's a transition metal on the periodic table. It's number 21 on the periodic table, so far away from the rare earth. But it's very often associated with rare earths deposit in small quantities. That's the interest of the Crater Lake project. The main element is scandium, not rare earths. So it helps with the metallurgy.
Scandium hasn't generated a lot of awareness up until now. Why has it been ignored, and why has it suddenly come to the forefront in industrial metals?
Well, I believe that it was overlooked because, first, it's usually a byproduct. It cannot be mined alone, difficult to obtain, to attract the end users, large end users. Maybe also it's simply laziness. We're more satisfied, I suppose, as a society to have high weight material and not really caring about. That's maybe the junction of these two that we say, hey guys, we need to reduce the weight of our different parts to reduce the GHG. Let's try to see on the periodic table what can help us. And scandium is jumping right in your face. And it's why we're calling it the metal of the future. I'll just make a quick parallel. About 50 years ago, nobody knew or heard of niobium. Somebody had the brilliant idea of mixing it to make an alloy with steel, ferroniobium steel. Completely changed the industry of the steel. Scandium is going to do exactly the same thing for aluminum. It will revolutionize the aluminum sector as an alloy that can perform and at the same time be of lightweight. So we're just waking up to the fact that we need to do something to reduce the GHG, and scandium is one of the answers.
You said Russia and China are the two largest producers at the moment. Is this of concern to current world users?
Well, obviously, yes. And that's maybe why of the reason that scandium has been added to the critical mineral list of many countries, or maybe why manufacturers have not yet adopted scandium. But we need to change that. One of the possibility to increase availability of scandium is recovery, recycling. One of the large places where you can find scandium is not in the mines, it's in the tailings, large tailings over decades of tailings lying around, yes, in China and Russia, but also in North America, in Europe. All of these red mud or slurries or tailing pounds of former or actual nickel mines can be reprocessed. Obviously, that's another challenge as far as metallurgy is concerned and pricing, but scandium is available if you put the energy to recover it. A main production that can adapt to the increase of market demand as it evolves, let's say for cars or airplanes, that's very important. Currently, I don't see any competition or any competitors. We should be seen as allies because as much scandium we can bring to the market, we all will help the reduction of GHG and adoption of aluminum scandium alloys. That's why we believe that being the first and the only known primary source of scandium, is going to be the trigger that will help the manufacturers adopt that alloy capacity.
Is there a substantial educational and informational task to be done in order to get current users that don't know about scandium but could use scandium to implement it into their product?
Oh, yes, absolutely. A very, very big task. A couple of months ago, I was talking with the alloy manufacturer. First question he asked, Guy, I don't understand why scandium is on the critical mineral list. Magnesium should be. Well, obviously it is, but the guy had not seen it. But the scandium, why scandium? Well, I said maybe if you look at the US, it might be for military purposes. Can you imagine a tank that weighs with the same protection as what they have currently would weigh 30% less? Imagine the logistic issues that you will be solving on just trying to refuel these things because they will go further. Same thing with the fighter jets. Fighter jets, just as a reminder to people, the only fighter jet that has currently parts, including alloys of scandium, is the MiG-29 from Russia. So if you're a US citizen, you don't like this idea. So you put it on the critical mineral list. But talking and coming back to that alloyer, guy says, Guy, I can easily get so many kilos or tons per month, 2% scandium-aluminum alloy. Oh, yeah, you can. Sure. How much have you bought? No, I've not bought any, but I checked and I could get. Oh, yeah, okay. And for how many months could you get? And then said, yeah, but I don't really see the application. Imagine a alloy manufacturer, small alloy manufacturer, that was not seeing the purpose and the size of it. When we talked about all of the patents that currently Airbus has, oh, his eye opened. Oh, and you tell me that it could be a game changer. Of course. So since that time, when we're approaching different alloyers or big companies that use different type of alloys, we ask them, if you were able to have a 25-year minimum guarantee of receiving on a constant basis so many tons of scandium aluminum 2% master alloy, do you think you can use it? And it's amazing the discussions that we're having with these end users, the alloyers, manufacturers that have the contracts with the end users, large end users, they rapidly see the interest of it. So that helps in the discussion. So to answer in short, yes, there's a lot of education. That's why we're working in parallel with universities, with CanMet, with other knowledgeable people to be able to confirm by prototyping some parts, going and do the test on the properties, the strength, corrosion resistance, heat capacity, and we go after that and we approach these end users and we confirm their vision of it, or we just demonstrate to them the advantage. And that's how we're going to be able to develop our market going forward.
You said you want to become the world's primary producer of scandium. Why do you think you can do it? How do you think you can do it? And what do you need to help you achieve your goal?
We're going to be the largest single source with the TG zone that we're currently working on with the PEA and the pre-feasibility study. But like I pointed out in the presentation, we have 14 kilometers that we own the mining rights. We have 5 different zones that are already being drilled and confirmed the continuity of mineralization and presence of mineralization. Therefore, we definitively represent, for any large end user, a very, very long time safe supply with great quantities that can, I would say, rather easily adapt to the increase in demand as it comes, because it's a primary production strictly of scandium. Though that's why we believe that we will be the largest single source, so that will make us the primary source, reliable source. And because we are currently making the first steps with large end users, of course, we will have a lead advantage over other potential projects. There are a couple of projects being looked at in Australia, in North America, as secondary sources, a smaller amount of total capacity or tonnage as far as resource and reserves are concerned. But if you look at their pre-feasibility or feasibility or PEA, they're looking at producing about 15 to 20 tons, 30 tons maximum. We're already in the PEA looking at the 82 tons of production per year, which would be 2 times the actual world supply. It's not that we're going to be looking at removing other potential, not potential, but producers out of the market. We are going to be creating, we're the cornerstone of creating a new demand for a new product, for a very, very large market to be addressed. So that's why we're going to be the key place to be investing for scandium.
Once you mine the ore, do you process it or do you send it off to smelting? And are there any particular different processes that are involved in smelting and refining scandium?
The mine site will be concentrating to about 50% of the weight. Then we're going to be shipping it south from the mine to the Wabush, Labrador City, Fremont region in the Labrador Trough. And we're going to be making scandium oxide. Scandium oxide can be sold as a product, but our preliminary economic assessment, it's not our goal. Our goal is to transform it, well, not transform it, but add it to aluminum to make a finished product that is called aluminum scandium 2% master alloy. So you have a bar of aluminum scandium, which contains 2% of scandium. This is an ingredient that is going to be sold to alloyers. The alloyers, they're going to be flipping, like if it was a bar of, let's say, butter, and they're making their recipe of different alloys. They will chip away a little of that, to reducing it to 0.2, 0.3, 0.4% of finished content of their specific alloys for their specific need of a specific client. So the conversion or mixing with aluminum is going to be done south in Quebec. We are still in discussion with potential partners for that specific modification, but we're going to be producing initially scandium oxide in the Labrador Trough and then trucking it south to do the mixing with aluminum.
Thank you, Guy. And that concludes our question period and our presentation for today. And Guy, before we bring this session to a close, for your final remarks, why not summarize for investors why they should invest in Scandium Canada?
Scandium Canada has a very, very large scandium resource in Quebec, mining-friendly jurisdiction, surrounded by First Nations that are on board with the project and that are supportive of it, pro-development. We have a very good team that is knowledgeable on development of industrial minerals, that has done it in the past, that have been able to attract long-term end users to adopt the product. So we will be the first to the market with that primary source, and that's how we're going to be winning, and all of the shareholders are going to be winning with this company. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to my presentation today. If you need more information, don't hesitate to contact me, info@scandiumcanada.com. That's my email address. And you can also reach me, and I'll be pleased to talk with you directly at 418-580-230. Together, we're going to be making a success out of that very unique situation of Scandium Canada. Thank you.